This episode of the Nocturnal Disney Podcast is brought to you by Palms and Parks. They are high-quality t-shirts and tank tops that have cool, fun designs that help show off your love for Disney in a unique and smart way. Visit them at palmsandparks.com and check out what their store has to offer. There's something there for everyone.
A warm welcome back to those of you who made it, and a friendly word of warning, something you won't find in any guidebook. The next time you turn on a new podcast on the highway late at night, make sure you know just what kind of show you're hearing, or you may find yourself a permanent resident of
the Nocturnal Disney Podcast.
Oh, I love it when I'm nasty.
This is the day your dreams come true.
Be prepared for sensational news.
Oh, milk my duds! It's Wreck-It Ralph!
And where do we fit?
Okay, fine, I'm cool, I'm fine.
I'm disinclined to acquiesce to your request. Means no.
Ah, but there's a new order now. Salmon, that's obviously salmon.
With their heads!
My friends, we are about to embark on the most odious, the most evil, the most diabolical scheme of my illustrious career.
But before the sun sets on her 16th birthday, she shall prick her finger on the spindle of a spinning wheel and die.
You are not leaving this tower! Ever!
Game, set, match.
Thank you for joining us for episode 17 of the Nocturnal Disney Podcast on November 3rd, 2018. My name is Bryce, and this is Chris. Say hi, man.
Greetings, Nocturnal Disney fans. How goes your day?
We appreciate you listening. If you want to join in our discussion, you can join us on Facebook. Just search the Nocturnal Disney Podcast and join a little group. You can email me at my new email, bryce@nocturnaldisneypodcast.com. That's BRICE at nocturnaldisneypodcast.com. And you can say something quick to me on Twitter at Disney Nocturnal. You can also find me on Instagram at the Nocturnal Disney Podcast, all separated by underscores. So tonight, me and Chris are going to talk about Mary Poppins. We're going to talk about the third trailer of Wreck-It Ralph. We're going to talk about some rumors about the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise, some Toy Story, a little bit of John Williams, Luke Cage. We have a bunch of stuff to talk about.
And I'm excited.
Oh, yes. And then for tonight's feature presentation, me and Chris are going to discuss the differences between Snow White and Little Snow White, the original Grimm Brothers fairy tale. But for now, let's just jump into it.
Let's go.
So, Chris, have you seen the special look that we got at Mary Poppins?
I did.
What'd you think of it?
I liked it.
So did I.
I mean, it's
nothing special.
Yeah, it didn't, like I said, it didn't really make me more excited. It didn't make me less excited. I told you this already. I haven't seen the first Mary Poppins yet. So, I feel like that's something that we should do.
Oh, absolutely.
Kind of turned into a podcast, at least. That's something we can discuss in the build up to it. But I liked what I saw from these last couple of trailers. It got me excited. Looks really cool. She sounds amazing as Mary Poppins.
Well, of course she does. She's Emily Blunt.
Emily Blunt. Yeah, that's who it is. Yeah, she sounds awesome.
She really does.
And the music and the movie, the music, it all looks awesome. So, and that's coming from someone who hasn't seen the first one. So, I mean, I think that's pretty good.
Absolutely it is. I really like the story that we're getting from it, because I have seen the first one. I like the first one a lot.
It's a little dark.
A little bit.
It's like Batman Begins, but Mary Poppins Begins. It's like, it's Returns, right? Mary Poppins Returns?
Mary Poppins Returns,
yeah,
but
it should be like Batman Returns. London's dark and gloomy.
Well, yeah.
One of the kids lost their wife.
Exactly. It's going to be interesting. I can't wait. But I kind of fall in the same spot as you. I mean, despite its name of Special Look, it's really nothing special. However, the third trailer for Ralph Breaks the Internet,
Yeah.
what did you think of that?
I like that a lot.
Me too.
Dude, the Merida scene where all the Disney princesses are there and they're like, we can't understand her.
She's from the other studio.
Yeah. Which I loved so much.
Me too.
It was hilarious. Partly because I really do love Brave a lot.
So do I.
I love that movie.
That movie gets a lot of crap.
The music to me, I liked it a lot.
Me too.
The fact that it was kind of new, it was kind of refreshing. It was like kind of a little bit of ahead of its time because she didn't need no prince at the time, you know, and they worked that out pretty well, you know.
Exactly.
And it was, I like that movie a lot. I don't get why it gets that much crap.
I think it gets that much crap because if you go back and look at the trailers, there's really no mention of a bear or her mom being turned into a bear. And so I think it just takes this, and especially coming from Pixar. Like, if it was a Disney Studios production, I think it would have been better received. But because it was a Pixar movie.
It wasn't this great, fabulous, amazing movie. It was just good. And that's not good enough.
I mean, kind of.
Yeah.
But it's also their first foray ever into something like magic. You know what I'm saying? Because other than Brave, you have Incredibles, you have Up, A Bug's Life. You have a bunch of movies that there's fantastical elements about it, but they're all more or less grounded in reality.
All right.
Even The Incredibles, they're superheroes, yeah, but the whole movie is about him going through a midlife crisis.
Yeah.
You know? Now out of nowhere, you have Pixar, who's kind of built up a name for themselves, kind of flirting with what has made Disney so popular.
Right.
So I can understand why there's a little bit of pullback.
I just like that scene, you know. They're all sitting there and they're like, she starts talking and then they're just like, we can't understand at all what she's saying. I thought that was hilarious.
It was funny because it's true. Because I got probably 3/4 of the way through that sentence and I'm like, I'm out.
Yeah, that's true. That trailer has me super excited to see this movie.
Like stupidly excited because the story just looks so good. It's not the gimmick of them going into the internet. Like, is that a thing? Yeah, it is. And I think it's going to play into the movie. Obviously, it's going to play into the movie.
We got to see a little more of that new character. That
Gal Gadot's character.
Yeah, we got to see a little bit more of what her intentions are.
Mm-hmm.
We see a little bit. She's kind of... Seems like she's pulling on Penelope a little bit. I wonder if it's going to be more of like a she's not good association type of thing. Like she's a little mean and she's a little... She might be a villain in a way. You know what I'm saying?
Maybe.
Like she's just kind of and I don't mean to screw anybody up in case everyone was like, didn't want to see it, but she could possibly be a villain, you know?
Do you think that they would go for a kind of like a hidden villain again? Because it clearly looks like she's trying to befriend Penelope.
Well, do we have a set villain for this movie yet?
We don't.
No, so it's going to be hidden.
Well, maybe not. We just haven't talked about it in the trailers. No. But in the last movie, they had King Candy and Turbo. And I thought that was brilliant. And I really hope, really hope they're not like,
dude,
this worked so well last time.
Turbo-tastic is Gal Gadot's character.
It would be an exact copy of the first one.
Turbo-tastic.
So speaking of Wreck-It Ralph, did you know the tracking numbers are coming out for the movies coming out on Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
Wreck-It Ralph is supposed to get $65 million.
Wow.
That's fantastic. It's supposed to be Creed.
I believe it.
Me too.
I believe it. I mean, Creed 1 was a fantastic movie, but there's no mass audience that wants to see a Creed 2. You know, there's a certain following for that.
Mm-hmm.
Wreck-It Ralph has everybody. You know, that's the thing. You got kids. What sort of kids are going to see Creed? So it's no surprise to me that it's going to win the box office, you know?
Yeah, and I mean, personally, I saw the first Creed. That was enough. Like, I have no interest in Creed 2.
No, I do. I like the first Creed. I'm a big fan of the Rocky movies. I grew up watching the Rocky movies. There's a couple of misses in there. But I would say from like Rocky and then Creed, you know, it got me back. It got me excited for it again, you know?
Sure.
So, and again, it's just something that it's probably not going to have nearly as enough as a following as something beloved as Wreck-It Ralph. Because, you know, everybody loved Wreck-It Ralph, the first one.
Yeah, I didn't hear too much hate about it.
No, so I mean, it makes sense that it's going to beat Creed too. It wouldn't be much competition, I would think.
Yeah, I don't think so either. But that just makes me happy because I'm such a big fan of Wreck-It Ralph.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I want to see it come out and perform and be number one.
It will, buddy. Don't worry.
Now let's talk about a movie that, you know, arguably influenced Wreck-It Ralph before Wreck-It Ralph was even a thing. Let's talk about Toy Story. Because some quotes from Tom Hanks dropped today.
Mm-hmm.
He was talking about Toy Story 4, and he said this: "The way you record Toy Story, you're in a room with the team that has created it. When I went in for my last day of recording, I wanted to have my back to them. Because usually you're facing them, so you can look right up and you can talk about it. But I didn't want to see them, and I wanted to pretend that they couldn't see me. When I realized what they were going for, I realized, oh, this is a moment in history."
Jeez.
Right? And then you compare that
with Tim Allen's comments.
Exactly. What's going to happen at the end of this movie, man?
I don't know. I mean, either they're giving us like the biggest buildup of all time, and that's what they're doing. I'm just saying this right now. Now I'm like, my expectations for that ending was like through the roof.
Oh, they better deliver.
Yeah, because I mean, they've been talking about it, but I mean, you're comparing the comments, and they're not talking about how great their movie is. They're talking about how emotional this movie is.
Exactly.
So, I mean, you got the two big dogs there talking about the movie. I mean, you can't help but wonder what is going on.
Yeah.
And how that's going to beat 3. Because 3, you know, it kind of makes you almost shed a tear. Actually, you know, as you're looking away from your wife a little bit, like...
Exactly. That movie...
There's nothing...
It's a gut punch, man.
Yeah. And then you got that, and then you got... the Jessie song in number 2, which kills me as well. So, I mean, the Toy Story has a lot of, you know, moments where it's kind of sad, you know? So I can only imagine what this 4th movie is going to be about.
I mean, to come out and say it's a moment in history.
Andy dies.
Oh, crap. You think so?
That's the only way I think it could beat it. Somehow they find out, because, I mean, he gave the toys to that little girl.
To Bonnie.
Right. What if it's Andy somehow getting back in contact with his chick? She's grown up a little bit. And, you know, like, I mean, I wouldn't imagine Andy's the main part of the movie, but what if it's like they find out he's sick or something? I mean, the only thing I could think of is a death. Like, that's the only thing I could think of what they're talking about. A toy dying, you know, like Buzz or someone like that going, I'd be emotional, but I feel like the level that they're talking about might be something like Andy or something like that.
Yeah, man, I don't know. I mean, Toy Story has been groundbreaking since it started, you know?
Yeah.
And so I can only imagine what a moment in history is going to be for Toy Story 4, especially since I've gone and said this a number of times, I don't want this movie to come out. I don't want to see this movie just because I think your first 3 movies are perfect. They're perfect.
Yeah, it's one of the few things that you can say from a trilogy that from beginning to end is truly perfect. Exactly. I have a hard time nitpicking that thing. Honestly, I can't think of any complaints about any of those movies.
No. I mean, if you go on IMDb, Toy Story and Toy Story 3 have a 99%. Toy Story 2 is sitting at 100%.
Well, there you go. Perfect trilogy.
Yeah.
And you gotta, this is what I'm thinking. Pixar must have had something drawn up. You know, it's not like they're sitting there like, hey, you know what? You know, let's go back and do this because we need some money. You know, let's for a nostalgia factor. No, Pixar is not that company, you know? So I don't feel like they're going to go ahead and test something unless they feel like they got something special. And then from hearing from what Tom Hanks said and Tim,
they clearly do.
Yeah, seriously.
There's another movie I want to talk about. It's a movie that it's a franchise that across its 5 movies have made over $4 billion.
Star Wars?
No, it's Pirates of the Caribbean. And this news kind of excites me, kind of makes me sad, because
I'm happy for it.
They're trying to reboot it.
Yeah, about time.
Yeah.
It should have happened 2 movies ago.
I agree.
World's End should have been the end.
I agree.
And for some people, it should have been the first one.
Exactly. I mean, because as much as I like the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, and I do, the second and the third one, if nothing else, are extremely convoluted.
It's weird. I like the first one as a whole, and I guess I like chunks of 2 and chunks of 3. So I guess if you push, like, maybe 2 and 3 could have, like, you know, so I guess for me, it basically turns out to like 2 movies. You know, I have a little bit of like from the second one. I like a little bit of stuff from the third one.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it kind of got away from me.
Sure, absolutely. Johnny Depp was so good as Jack Sparrow in the first movie because he had zaniness about him. He had an aloofness about him, but you knew that he was in control of the situation. You knew that he knew exactly what he was doing. It didn't look like it. It's kind of like the drunken master is what he always reminded me.
But see, that's the thing. I think that's kind of like why it failed a little bit, is because his character was good comic relief. Like, I feel like he wasn't a good lead character. He was a good character. I just felt like everybody they put to star beside him just wasn't strong enough. So it just became Jack Sparrow. And the thing was is that for me, Jack Sparrow on his own, like, I'm not interested in.
Well, that's fair. I mean, you have to give him somebody to play off of.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is in the first movie, he was great.
Yeah. Well, because the first time we've seen something like that.
Sure. In the second movie, it was okay. In the third movie, you're like, all right, you're getting a little worn. But then by the fourth movie, all he was aloof. He didn't have that, I have this situation under control, that feeling anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I'll be sad to see him go.
If there's anyone that I'm sad to see go is Barbossa. Barbossa to me was my favorite out of everybody in that franchise. He was my favorite one.
Yeah, that'll be sad to see go. Although I will say I didn't like him very much in the fourth one.
Oh, yeah,
when he's a privateer.
Yeah, but it's almost like for me, these last 2 movies, I saw it in theater once.
Yeah.
The first one, I didn't even see this last one because I have zero interest to see it. I had no interest in seeing it. Yeah. It looked really stupid to me. You know, so, I don't know how he acted. Was he in that one, Barbossa?
To be honest with you, I don't know because I didn't see it either.
Okay, so well then there you go. You can clearly tell that this, like, it completely wore its welcome.
Yeah.
Wore out its welcome, is what I'm saying.
And so since they're rebooting it, they are getting rid of Johnny Depp.
Yeah, and I'm happy.
Me too.
$20 million. There was a report going around saying that that's how much they pay just him on the movie. Well, if you look at their budget, they're paying like Star Wars, Avengers money for each one of those. When you got just $20 million just for Johnny Depp, that's ridiculous. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely it is. He has a very good contract negotiator.
No reason why that, but like you would think a seafaring adventure movie, while like, I get it. There's going to be CGI and stuff like that, and it's going to be expensive. Why is it near Star Wars and Avengers sort of money?
Because the second and third one were massively CGI.
Right, and I felt like they just thought the bigger the better, but the first movie's so simple.
It is.
And it was beautifully done.
Exactly. Like I said, they're getting rid of Johnny Depp. And, okay, whatever. I've been reading online, and people are freaking out. They're like, oh my God, I can't believe it. They can't get rid of Johnny Depp. How can they get rid of Johnny Depp? You cannot recast anybody as Jack Sparrow if you're not going to have Johnny Depp in there. And?
Well, who said anything about recasting Jack Sparrow either?
Exactly. It's not like Jack Sparrow is an integral part to the Pirates of the Caribbean.
Well, I mean,
he is kind of.
Now he is.
Right. But when they first came up with the character, he was a completely fresh character. As a matter of fact, if they do reboot these movies, completely clean slate. And by that, I mean get rid of the directors, get rid of the writers, get rid of the actors, get rid of the characters.
Mm-hmm.
Give me something different. Now, granted, you're not going to be able to get away from something like a Davy Jones. You don't have to use Davy Jones, but Davy Jones is Davy Jones. You can't get away from that.
Yeah.
But you don't need to use Barbossa. You don't need to use Jack Sparrow. You don't need to use Will. You don't need to use all that.
Mm-hmm.
So don't.
Yeah.
As much as I love those movies, don't do that.
Yeah, I mean, pirate history covers a large amount of history.
Exactly.
Ever since there's something to steal, there's been pirates. So, I mean, and there's lots of stories all over the place. Lots of myths you can play around with. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm happy with this idea. Clean slate. If you're a Pirates of the Caribbean fan and you like Johnny Depp, you know what? God bless you. You got 5 movies with that. That's a fantastic run.
And even if they do reboot it, it's not like they're going to go back and delete all these other movies. These movies are just going to be around.
Yeah, and I feel like Disney's smart enough to realize that they're not going to go for the same thing. I feel like you're not going to go that way. I feel like they're going to go in a different direction, tell a brand new story, which I think they should.
I completely agree. All right, let's get into something that I know for a fact that you will want to talk about.
Okay, I'm listening.
People complain all the time that all these new Star Wars movies coming out, they're shrinking the universe, right?
Right.
And probably going back a couple weeks talking about Bob Iger saying, you know what, I bit off more than I can chew. Too many movies were coming out. Too fast. I have to slow down. Boba Fett got canceled. Officially canceled.
Yeah, and it doesn't surprise me.
At all.
No.
Doesn't surprise me either. Because I feel like as much as people wanted a Boba Fett movie, there were more people who did not want a Boba Fett movie.
Yeah, or people who just wouldn't care. I mean, I feel like Boba Fett, I mean, he has a following, you know, and he looks awesome. But I mean, that's about
that's
it.
it.
But that's it. And
so does Han Solo. Han Solo has a following.
Yeah.
And then they come out and say, okay, well, if you like Han Solo, here's a Han Solo movie. People are like, we're actually not interested in that. And like, we're going to put it out anyway. Then they saw how Solo actually did. Like, well, maybe we should take that into consideration.
And that was a wake-up call, man. Because you can't, you go from Rogue One that grosses over $1 billion, which was an anthology movie.
Sure.
Which is what Solo was. Like their version of, like, you know, an off-spin, telling another story. And that completely bombs. Because no one went to see it. Not because the movie sucked, but because no one went to see it.
But the difference between Rogue One and Solo was Rogue One was completely divorced from the main series.
Well, yeah, yes and no.
I mean, as your main characters. Darth Vader was in the movie for a bit, and then he was in it at the end. Just wrecking fools.
I'll tell you what, though. When I heard that Rogue One was getting announced, I was kind of annoyed because they just had The Force Awakens out. We had, up to the date, we have 3 Death Stars. We have one in A New Hope, we have one in Return of the Jedi, we have one in Force Awakens, and now they're making a movie about the team stealing the plans for the Death Star. I'm getting Death Starred out, dude. But I'm like, I'm interested. I'm still going to see it. I found out they had Darth Vader. They're going to, you know, like the story sounds pretty cool. I saw it and I really enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's not so much what Solo to me is also a completely different thing. With Solo, you know how I feel with that. I feel like everyone just didn't want to see it. No one's interested in seeing a young Han Solo.
Exactly. And to a certain degree, I feel like people are not interested in seeing a Boba Fett movie. Because, like you said, he's a cool character. He's got a following, but he's a cool character because he doesn't speak. And he's barely in the movies. So if you go from being barely in the movies and then a full movie to yourself, you're going to have to say something at some point.
Which kind of has me thinking because, okay, so everyone's been talking about The Mandalorian and saying how The Mandalorian might be something Boba Fett related, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think so anymore because they were going to become, because I'm thinking they're thinking about making this Boba Fett movie. Obviously, there was some script writing being made, plans. Han Solo came out, it bombed. They scrapped the plans for Boba Fett. Do you think that Jon Favreau has Boba Fett in there if they were coming out with a Boba Fett movie? I find that kind of weird. I guess unless, that Boba Fett was a prequel or something like that, the movie.
Right. I think it's more likely now that Boba Fett ends up in The Mandalorian than it would have been if he had gotten his own movie.
Yeah.
Because now it's a free character. You have nothing tying that character down. Where before, if you have a movie coming out, you're like, you can't kill him because he's going to have to be in the movie. And the movie takes place 200 years from now. Whatever, So I think it's more likely now that he gets into the show than it would have been before. Now, I don't think he's going to be a main part of the show. And I don't think they're going to be like, well, now that we can use Boba Fett, let's make The Mandalorian about Boba Fett. I don't think they can do that either.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah.
But, with all this, so, we pretty much know the Obi-Wan movie's gone, the Boba Fett movie's gone.
Well, they didn't come out and say the Obi-Wan movie's gone.
Right, but
It's still on the table.
What's going to be interesting is to see what's going to happen. What's their plans, why they're holding off.
I kind of think they're waiting for Episode 9 to come out and see where the fallout from that movie is going to end up because it's not going to be loved. We know that. There's going to be some people who like it. There's going to be some people who love it. But I feel like the majority of Star Wars fans are going to come out and be like, it was garbage. It's ruined my childhood.
I don't know. We'll see. Let's hope that Abrams can right the ship a little bit. Because again, it's not like the movies were just absolute garbage. Let's not compare them to the prequels.
Oh, absolutely not.
Where it's almost at times just nauseating to watch. But it'll be interesting to see. I'm with you. I think they're going to wait for 9 to finish, see where it lands, and then go from there. Because, they got Benioff and Wines, right?
Yeah, the guys from Game of Thrones. I have not been able to ever pronounce their names.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, in any case, they're going to be doing their own trilogy. For all we know, that could be what's going to be now sandwiched in between, Star Wars proper, the saga series, and then,
So you think that they could have almost like a secondary episodes. So instead of like episode 10, 11, and 12, you can have a secondary trilogy running alongside it.
Yeah, I think they're going to wait a while, before they release 10. I think they're going to take a break for a couple of years.
You think so?
I think so.
I don't think they will.
I think they will. I mean from Star Wars proper. So like episode 10, 11, 12, I don't think so. I think they're going to end 9. Well, again, it all depends on how 9 lands as well. But I still think they're going to wait a year or two with that.
I guarantee you, man, if 9 comes out and it makes $900 million, they're making 10 quick.
I don't think so. I think if it makes $900 million, that's not good.
Why?
Okay.
That's not even
let me correct what I said there. No, I'm not talking about financially. It has to be a critic hit. It has to be fresh. You know what I'm saying? Like it has to come out and kind of right the ship for me before they can do this. Because listen, they hired those guys to write their own trilogy, or their own set of movies or whatever. When is that going to come out? I feel like we give it a break, like we did the first time. They're still going to be making money. They're still going to be coming out with this other series. And this is going to be Disney saying, okay, fans, you wanted something outside the box. You guys wanted a different direction for now. Well, here you go. And then they're going to present us with whatever the heck they're going to present us with. We might like it. We might hate, not like it. In either case, it gives Disney the time they need to go, okay, remember that last one that we did? Yeah, it made money. It was a bumpy start, depending on how 9 finishes, but let's say it ends on a high note. Let's get this trilogy down, written, know what we're doing, know where we're going, and kind of starve the audience a little bit. Because, look at what happened with The Force Awakens. You know what I'm saying? Every time Star Wars has a little bit of a wait, they release it in stupid numbers.
Sure.
And I think in the meantime, you're going to have that other trilogy with the Game of Thrones writers to kind of satisfy the audience, even if it's only for a year or two,
I would assume it would be at least 3 years. I think they're getting away from releasing 2 movies in a year.
Yeah, me too.
Plus, if it's a trilogy, how would you time that out in order to release 3 movies in 2 years to where it's not overlapping? Because that would be horrible. Be able to go see, Star Wars
or
A
like I
and
said,
Star Wars
or
B
like
at the same
or
time.
like what I said, they just let them play out their trilogy. Let them play out their trilogy. Let them play out the first movie. Let them play out the second movie, the third movie. It's not going to tie into anything from Luke Skywalker and stuff like that. It's going to be its own thing. So again, like I said, that's going to be Disney telling them to, hey, here's what you want as an audience. This is what you guys are getting. It gives Disney time to go back. Not only do they get the space that they kind of need in between from the actual proper trilogies and stuff like that, it gives time people to get over everything, gives them time to write it out and get it done right this time. So I think it's still a win-win. They're going to be making money. Star Wars is still fresh in the mind of everybody. It's not like Star Wars is going away. You got the Mandalorian TV series. They're going to definitely come out with probably more TV shows too.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, and then you got the cartoons that are out. You got the books that are out. You got the video games that are out. Star Wars ain't going anywhere.
Nope. It'll be interesting to see what they do.
I agree.
Real quick, over under 40%. The Game of Thrones guys trilogy is going to be Knights of the Old Republic. Over under 40.
I would say over.
Over 40?
Yeah. I would say over 40.
Because
that's right up their alley.
Well,
seems like it would be.
Exactly. But it would be odd to bring in the guys from Game of Thrones and then not have them do a Knights of the Old Republic. But then at the same time, would they want to do that? Because, they don't have to say yes when they're signing on. They're like, these are the movies we want you to do. No thanks.
Well, if anything, I feel like it's a pitch that Disney did. I think it's Disney going, hey, we like what you were seeing on Game of Thrones. This is kind of it's not exactly Game of Thrones. It's probably not even close to Game of Thrones. It's not like bloody or anything like that. But
I would doubt it.
No, but it's going to be like right up your guys' alley. You guys have, and that's the cool thing. They can hand it to these guys who have made Game of Thrones awesome for TV and say, okay, guys, go to town, go nuts. Because you know what? This isn't going to tie into anything. There might be some like things in later movies that it might tie into with certain things they say or do. But other than that, it's going to be new universe, hopefully, or not a new universe, but new planets, new characters, the Sith and the Jedi really going at it. Yeah, I can't wait for that.
See, that's what I really liked about Rogue One was that we got to go to Jeddah, which we've never been to before. We got to go to the other planet that gets destroyed at the end of the movie. I forget the name of it.
You keep forgetting the movie.
Doesn't really matter what it's called. It's gone now.
It was Crate, right?
Crate.
The planet that had the beach and everything with all the plans, yeah.
See, I thought that was great. I like that. But it was something new. It was something fresh.
And we need lightsabers again, most importantly. We need Sith and Jedi fighting lightsabers again. Because there's been lightsabers in this movie, but not to where it
not
should
what you
be.
want?
No.
I don't know, man. You can't say that fight scene with Rey and Kylo teaming up against the Imperial Guard was just bad.
I'm not saying whether or not that was awesome. I'm saying a Sith and a Jedi going at it. That's what I'm talking about. They were teaming up. It was lightsaber and lightsaber helping each other out.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Not like an epic duel.
They shredded a person in that. Literally shredded a person.
Mm-hmm.
She kicked him into the turbine. He went in, and then his body came up in shards.
Right.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm like, I did not expect that in a Star Wars movie.
They shot the dude in the face.
Yeah. That was nuts.
Yeah.
All right. Continuing to talk about Star Wars. John Williams is out of the hospital.
That's good.
And they said that he's recovering. So, wonderful.
Yep.
You know?
Good for him.
Exactly. Nobody wants to see that guy go away.
No, not for a while.
Exactly. Congratulations on getting better. So now, Chris, the next thing that I want to talk about, you and I actually talked about it almost 4 weeks ago now on the Nocturnal Legion show. That never ended up going up. But we had a story where it came out that said Iron Fist got canceled by Netflix. I'm like, oh, really? Okay. I mean, we know that no one really liked Iron Fist. It never got really huge praise, not like Daredevil or Punisher, but I'm surprised they canceled it. Okay.
Yeah.
Especially after 2 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Then Luke Cage got canceled, and we're like, oh, wow. Holy crap. Well, maybe they're doing Heroes for Hire, because that would be really cool. Combining the 2 heroes into one show, it ends up being cheaper because you're not making 2 shows.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. I thought that would be really cool. No, they're done and gone. Have you ever heard of the term Occam's razor?
No.
Occam's razor is saying that usually the simplest answer is the correct one. Typically.
Okay.
So now we found out, oh my God, Iron Fist and Luke Cage are canceled. They're not doing Heroes for Hire. Maybe Disney's trying to pull them over to their streaming service. And I kind of thought that.
Right.
I can see where Disney would want to have those shows on its own streaming service.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're great.
Yeah.
Not necessarily Luke Cage and Iron Fist, but the Marvel shows, right? No.
Yeah, because Netflix owns those characters right now.
Right.
They can, well, not owns the characters, but they can do whatever the heck they want with them.
Exactly. It turns out that everyone's saying, no, they're getting canceled because their ratings sucked. No one was watching them. They were right.
Yeah.
Between Iron Fist Season 1 and Season 2, Iron Fist lost 2/3 of its viewership.
Wow.
Same thing with Luke Cage.
Jeez.
I mean, granted, Luke Cage, I really liked the first 6 episodes.
Yeah, that's the thing that everybody says. They liked everything. The first couple episodes, they loved Cottonmouth, which I did.
Cottonmouth was great.
And they killed him.
You get to Diamondback, and it's awful.
Yeah, and then it just becomes complete. I didn't like it.
Me neither.
Yeah, and like you said, sometimes the best answer is the simplest one.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because the Defenders came out, which, again, the only thing I liked about it was Daredevil, was Elektra, and
Jessica Jones.
I'm not even a Jessica Jones person.
Right.
I tried watching it, and it just didn't appeal to me.
That's the thing. I really liked the first season of Jessica Jones. I've never thought about turning on Netflix and watching Season 2.
Kind of makes you wonder then, with a hit like Daredevil and Punisher right now, right? And Jessica Jones, you think they're going to end eventually? Like, is there a plan for them to end it and then reboot it again? You know what? No. I'm going to answer my own question. I don't think so, because I don't see the huge clamoring for Iron Fist and Luke Cage anyway. Right?
No.
And they can just bring them in at any time, have an appearance.
Sure. And they had a story. There was a reason they did Daredevil. There was a reason they used Jessica Jones. There was a reason they did Luke Cage and Iron Fist. So they wanted to bring those 4 characters together and make the Defenders. Cool. Well, Defenders came out and everyone was like, that was nice. That was cool. Like, they wanted to do a TV version of Avengers. And I get it. It unfortunately didn't really work.
Yeah.
The only one that has been loved throughout
Daredevil.
All of them has been Daredevil.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have a lot of good things about Punisher.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't had the chance to sit down and actually watch it yet.
The new Punisher?
Yeah. But I've heard it's good.
Yeah.
I've heard it's good and I want to watch it, but I just haven't.
Yeah.
I don't think that they have anything planned beyond Daredevil Season 3.
Yeah. And it kind of kills off, I wonder if that kind of kills off the Moon Knight thing. Because, for a while, everyone was like, oh, it's Moon Knight. Moon Knight's going to be... There were people going into a comic shop, the one right over here. People were coming in and wanting Werewolf by Night. You say Werewolf by Night. Well, I forgot what issue it's in, but Moon Knight makes his first appearance ever in comic books in that issue of Werewolf by Night.
So people wanted it.
So people wanted
collectors.
it. And the guy at the counter was like, because he had one up there, a comic book rated. It's like a 9.0. The thing looked nice and fresh. And I was like, wow. I was eyeing it a little bit. And he was like, you want it? Because he was like, everybody's been coming in and asking for it because they think that that's going to be the next thing that goes on Netflix is going to get hot. And and it just had me laughing because like, I'm like, for a long time, everybody was like, Moon Knight's coming to Netflix. Moon Knight's coming to Netflix. I would have loved Moon Knight going to Netflix. I don't think it's happening anymore, right?
I don't think so either.
Disney's keeping Moon Knight.
Oh, absolutely. I think that Disney said, fine, these are the characters you have. You use them basically until you're done with them. Now
it's going to be interesting to see if there's like a certain amount of time, like Fox and stuff like that, and Sony, like there's X amount of pitches you have to make in order to keep the rights.
I would almost guarantee that that's how that works. I don't know for sure, but I can imagine them being like, you just own them now. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so let's say with Luke Cage, let's just play with that for a minute. Let's say Luke Cage and Iron Fist have like a 4 or 5 year expiration, okay? But let's say Daredevil, Punisher, and this universe is going strong.
Mm-hmm.
What do? Do you reboot Iron Fist and Luke Cage? Or I wonder if it's something just as simple as like, hey, let's get the original actors and have them just appear in this crossover event, for a minute.
I don't think it would be that. I think it would have to be this character needs a series. Because then it would be too simple just to kind of hold everybody and be like, Daredevil's the only one making money, but here's an episode with Punisher.
Just kind of really makes you wish you could just be in those board meetings checking out the paperwork and the fine print to this stuff.
It's interesting.
It is.
But I think Disney is going to do something similar on their streaming service like what they did on Netflix. I don't know if they'll go as dark, but I mean, they could. They very well could. The next thing I want to talk about, remember a couple weeks ago they were talking about Scarlet Witch and Loki getting their own little miniseries?
Yeah.
Now Bucky and Falcon are getting a miniseries.
Yeah.
But like together, like a buddy cop situation.
Yeah, they said it's going to be this like one-time thing. It's not going to be, a couple of seasons. I think they said it's just going to be like a special event that they're doing. It's like 8 episodes or something like that.
Right.
Which is all you need.
Exactly. And they said that Kevin Feige is going to be very involved specifically with Winter Soldier and Falcon. So then do you think that he's going to be involved very much with Loki and Scarlet Witch?
Dude, I don't doubt Kevin Feige, man. That's just the thing.
I don't doubt the guy,
yeah,
but do you think he was going to be a part of them? Because I'll be honest, before I didn't even consider it.
Well, I would say probably not. He probably wouldn't have his hands on the overall thing because as of right now, Loki's dead in the Marvel universe with Thanos. Sorry for the spoilers. Scarlet Witch is dead. Or no. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Scarlet Witch is dead. So they're going to do something, I don't know what, and they can play around with that. I don't think that that's his main concern.
But so are Falcon and Bucky.
They're dead too?
Yeah.
Oh, so they're just doing shows on everyone who's dead.
Maybe. Huh.
When you just realize something while you're podcasting.
Wow. Okay, I didn't even think about that.
They're all dead?
They are all
Falcon
dusted.
and Bucky are both dead?
Yeah, man.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe,
that's right.
Maybe these series are showing what these characters are doing between Avengers 3 and Avengers 4.
They're in hell.
Oh, like purgatory or limbo or something.
I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see.
That would be cool.
Or maybe it's just going to be because they're focusing on these characters is like because they died, there's like
it's a possibility.
Sort of like post-traumatic death stress. I would imagine coming back to life would be a little shocking.
Probably.
Dying, coming back might be a little bit weird. And then they meet together like in an ultimate therapy session.
Welcome aboard the Walt Disney World Express Monorail. On behalf of the cast of the Walt Disney World Resort, we'd like to welcome you to the Magic Kingdom.
All right, Chris. When you think of Epcot, like, what's the first thing you think of? Like, one of the first things you think of?
Food.
Exactly. The Food and Wine Festival.
Beverages. Right? And a big ball.
Well, they have Food and Wine Festival in the fall time, right? Then in the spring, they have the Flower and Garden Festival.
Right.
Well, those would take up the spring season and the fall season. And now, the only
gonna be something
season
in the summer.
No, in winter.
It.
I think it's the second or third year that's coming back. It's going to start January 18th and go through February 25th, and it's the Festival of the Arts Festival.
Well, that sounds interesting. So they're gonna be serving food and stuff like that.
Anything they can do to use those little booths that they've built for Food and Wine Festival, they are going to do, because they use them for Food and Wine Festival, they use them for Flower and Garden Festival, and they use them for the Art Festival of the Arts as well. Have you heard about this at all?
No, I haven't.
All right, Festival of the Arts is a festival to all forms of art.
Okay.
Culinary, friggin' drinks.
Well, correction, I've heard of it. I just haven't been to it.
Okay, I got you. Same. I've been wanting to go to it, and I just never had the opportunity to get up there. They have concert series the same way that Food and Wine Festival does, but instead of it being like, rock bands or whatever, they have Broadway artists come down and sing their songs. Like, I think that's really, really cool.
Yeah. That's awesome.
There's not much that I know about it because since I haven't been to it. I do know that each pavilion has their own, like, special art form that they show you. Like, if you go to Japan, you're going to do something different versus if you go to Morocco or if you go to China or something like that.
Right.
So I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
And hopefully this year I'll be able to get up there and check it out because, like I said, I've been wanting to get there.
Oh, we'll get there, buddy.
We're going. This next thing kind of saddens me a little bit because for the longest time, we've been hearing rumors that, Hollywood Studios is changing its name. It's not going to be called Hollywood Studios anymore. And that came from Bob Iger at like a little press conference. He got scooped by a little kid, man. It was hysterical. So we found that out like 3 years ago. And now it looks like there's finally some movement on that. Because the film pieces they have outside the entrance of Hollywood Studios?
Yeah.
They're gone.
Really?
Yep, they're taking them away. I really like those.
I don't understand what people want it to be renamed. Is that another reason why?
No, people don't want it to be renamed, but Disney is just saying, hey, we're going to rename this park, which I think it's funny because it started off as MGM, then it went to Hollywood Studios, and now it's going to be something different. Exactly.
Yeah.
But like I said, it makes me a little sad because that was always one of the first things you saw going underneath that gate. Welcome to Walt Disney World. And then you have Mickey on the left, you have Minnie, and then Goofy's on the left as well, and then over back on the right is Donald. You pass underneath that little gate, and then the Hollywood Studios entrance is right there.
Yeah.
And you'd see those pieces of film reel, and they had Little Mermaid in there. They had Star Wars. They had like C-3PO
Fantasia.
and R2-D2, Fantasia, and now that's all gone.
Well, they could be just...
Well, they're dismantling it anyway.
Well, they could just be putting up a new sign.
That's
something
exactly
new,
what
maybe
they're
a little
gonna
bit
be
more
doing.
updated, because, that's been up for...
A long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was something that I noticed every time I went there, and now every time I go there from now on, I'm going to notice it not being there.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I don't think they're going to leave it vacant.
Absolutely not.
And, they could be changing the name to the park, but I don't know if they're doing that. That could just be like, hey, let's just come up with something different, a little fresh, and just put it up on the front.
That came from the head of Disney, man. That is happening.
Okay.
When?
All right.
I don't know.
Okay.
But it's coming. I would assume it would happen with or very near the launch of Galaxy's Edge.
Well, they could be taking it down, too, because They just now have the rights to Star Wars and stuff. You want that to be one of your main features of that park, you know? Maybe they just want to do something different there.
Well, yeah, they
Just
definitely
put like a
wanna do
massive
something
AT-AT
different.
there.
That would be crazy.
Yeah, that would.
Well, they're taking something away that's nostalgic out here, but out in California, they're putting something that I feel is going to become fairly nostalgic for people. Luxo Jr. got installed on top of the Pixar Pier Pavilion. Luxo Jr. is the light. So at the beginning of the Pixar movies, it comes up and says Pixar, and he has a little lampstand, comes out, and then jumps on the eye.
Yeah.
Well, an animatronic got installed on the top of the Pixar Pier, like, little archway.
Mm-hmm.
So it says Pixar Pier, and right in the middle of it, there is an animatronic of Luxo Jr., and he's looking back and forth at you.
That's cool.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
And then at night, since it's a lamp, his little light turns on. It's really cute.
That's a pretty cool idea.
Yeah.
They didn't know he had a name, but, you know.
Yeah, I learned that recently myself. Here's the thing. Because they show you what he does. And, you know, he just scans back and forth. Like he's looking at you. He's a spotlight. Perfect. What is he known for, though? Jumping on the eye.
Mm-hmm.
From where he is, it wouldn't have been difficult to put like a little piston underneath him to make it look like he's hopping.
Maybe.
You know?
Yeah.
Have two pistons, one in the front, one in the back, and then the timing is different for him, so it looks like he's hopping.
Mm-hmm.
He's never leaving the ground, but it looks like he's hopping. Yeah, it's just, come on, Disney.
You think you're...
Details, man.
I think
Details.
you're hating a little too much. I think you're hating a little too much.
I'm just really miss those film pieces, man.
yeah. It's just taking out all your anger.
Exactly.
All these news reports, like, I don't like it. It's garbage.
What's cool to me, though, is that it genuinely works as a lamp.
Well, there you go. I mean, but that's what he is. I mean, yeah, exactly. He's known for jumping down on an eye, but I mean, that's about it. Come on.
Exactly. No. As a lamp, though, that is really cool to me.
Yeah, it's a cool idea.
I really like that idea.
Yeah,
so
I like it.
Good for them.
Yeah.
Are you checking in tonight? Welcome home.
Have you ever been to Toothsome's Chocolate Emporium over at Universal?
No, I haven't, but I know of people who've been there and they said it's really good.
The food's okay. The dessert is out of this world.
That's
it's
all
incredible.
I hear. That's all I hear from it, though. I never hear about the food. I just hear about the chocolate.
Yeah, it's not the best. It's very expensive, too, but that's not the point. The point is they have crazy milkshakes.
Okay.
Beaches and Cream over at the Beach Club Resort said, we can do that. And then they did that. And now they have 3 new just bananas milkshakes.
And man, they look good.
They really do, don't they?
Yeah.
It's just one less reason to have to go to Universal.
I mean, I'm not a huge fan of, yeah, that's just one reason, this epic battle in which we both go to still both sides.
Well, so they're both great.
Yeah. Yeah. I like what I see. I liked what I saw in the picture. I'm not a huge fan of chocolate.
Mm-hmm.
The one to the far left, the strawberry one, catches my fancy. The middle, you know what I'm saying? Because that's really all I order when I go out. Like when we go to like, anytime we go out to get ice cream, I always get a strawberry milkshake. That's like my thing.
Yeah.
Either that, some days I feel like getting an Oreo milkshake. But it's most of the time it's strawberry because it's, you know, strawberries are just refreshing. I love strawberries.
They are good.
So that does look good though.
Yeah.
Made me hungry when I saw it.
See, I like chocolate a lot. I do not like chocolate ice cream. I feel it's got like a really weird flavor, which is chocolate.
You're just a weird person.
Maybe. But I do like vanilla. Like vanilla ice cream is one of my favorites.
I agree.
So the Mickey Vanilla Confetti one,
that's
me all day.
And it's interesting, isn't that is that the one that has the cupcake like
all
smashed.
3 of them have a cupcake.
Yeah, yeah.
Just crushed on the top of them.
Yeah, yeah.
I like that. Good for Disney.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's only 3 of them that they have. They have the Mickey Vanilla Confetti. It's a confetti cupcake on top of a vanilla ice cream milkshake. Cool. You got me. Then you have the chocolate brownie shake.
That thing looks like a monster, dude.
It does. It looks massive. I mean, they're all the same size.
Yeah, and the thing is, it doesn't look bad. It just kind of looks a little overdone on the chocolate. And that's the problem with chocolate with me is like a little bit of chocolate works for me.
Yeah.
Chocolate with chocolate with chocolate, which is the thing that a lot of people do, just doesn't work for me.
Exactly.
It looks cool because, I mean, it looks insane.
Like, they are decorated really nice.
Yeah, yeah.
The last one, because like I said, they only have 3, is the strawberry mini milkshake. And I mean mini like the character, not mini like in small. Because none of them are small. They're all massive. I mean, they can all fit a cupcake on top of them.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
Right at the very top, yeah.
They're big. They all come out in mason jars. Now, Chris, what would you expect to pay for something like that?
What I would expect to pay?
What would you think is a reasonable amount to pay?
I could see myself paying $9 or $10 for that.
Yeah?
$9, $10 for that. Then again, there is a cupcake on it. But again, this is Disney, so lay it on me.
You weren't too far off, actually.
Okay, okay.
They're going to hit you for $14 a shot.
That's
exactly.
That's still a
it's
bit
rough.
more, yeah.
It's rough.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, $14 for a milkshake, though? Come on. It's huge, and you could probably
Well, then there you go. I mean, you
there.
can share.
Exactly.
You know, because, like, I mean, there's no way you're getting that thing by yourself.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
And if you do, you got a problem.
Yeah, yeah.
One of them probably being diabetes, because it is a crazy amount of sweets.
Yeah.
And now for this week's Hidden Mickey Hunt. Polka dots galore and colors so bright. Fill up the circle hanging on the right. Ceramic beauty, elusive Mickey. It's near the bottom but not out of sight. So Disney is very much about getting that money to themselves, right?
Oh, of course.
To talk about just charging $14 for a milkshake. Well, they were doing this out in Hawaii at their resort. They were charging people to stay the night. They were charging people to park. Well, as you can imagine, that didn't set well with people, you know?
Yeah.
So what they would do is they'd say, okay, we have to pay to park, but what we can do is check in online, not have to go to the front desk at all, check in online, use our magic bands that we already have. Boom, we have room keys. We're solid. We don't have to pay the parking.
You can't check in online anymore now, right?
No, you can.
Oh, okay.
You can. But to stop people from doing that, Disney has taken a cast member, not a security guard, a cast member, put them at the security gate. So every car that goes through there has to register when they're going in.
Jeez.
Exactly. Now, I understand Disney wants to get their money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, from an efficiency standpoint, I would lose my mind because that's going to slow things way down.
Yeah. Yeah. Stopping everybody.
Exactly. And it's not like it's super quick to get to the gates anyway, but still. So then you have to wait there while they register your car, go pull in, then go wait in line to check in. It's a nightmare. Now, what some people are doing for this is going, hey, yeah, I know I'm here, but I'm coming here to eat dinner. And they're like, oh, okay, well, enjoy your dinner, sir. You pull in, boom, you're in there. They're not going to tow you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So they're going to come up with a way to get around that one. But as of right now...
The people versus Disney. And they're all Disney fans, too. I find it hilarious.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, the problem is it's Disney's constant...
Raising of the prices.
Yeah, it's their constant doing more things to get more money out of people. Like making them pay for parking at the resort. Like, well, I mean, do you really need to make me pay for parking at the resort? Well, I mean, there is a lot of wear and tear on that parking lot. Well, you also charged me $700 to stay in your room for one night.
Yeah.
Did you need to do that too? No, but you did pay for it, so...
Well, they're making money, man, and they're going to make as much money from you as they possibly can.
Oh, absolutely. You just got to know when to not let them do it.
Yeah, just got to be smart. There's little smart stuff you got to learn how to do.
Just for the record, we don't condone stealing from Disney.
No, don't do that.
And now, our feature presentation.
All right, Chris. So we have now come to the feature presentation. And it's just dawned on me that in having you on the show for the last month and a half or so, this is the first time we've done a feature presentation together. You know that?
I feel honored.
That's what you should.
This is going to be the best one of all, too.
I think so. So last week for our feature presentation, we debuted essentially a new podcast that we're going to be doing here at DigiFox Studios, Grim Story Nights.
Yeah.
And we debuted that with the story of Little Snow White. And if you haven't listened to that, I recommend you go listen. I mean, we put a lot of work into it.
It was awesome. It was really good, man.
You liked it?
I did.
Good. That makes me happy because you weren't a part of that presentation at all.
No, I wasn't a part of it at all. I'm completely unbiased.
I appreciate that. So after reading Little Snow White, you come to realize, oh, wow, Disney changed a lot of stuff when it came to the contents of the original story and the movie.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we're going to talk about tonight.
Yeah.
But really talk about the differences that were in the movie versus the original story.
Okay.
So to start things, man, what did you think of the original story?
The original story, it's pretty good. It's not like it's a page turner. It's not, because, I mean, the writing for it was okay. It's dark.
Yeah.
That's for dang sure. What I find kind of funny is that they said, and I don't know how true this is, but some sources were saying that Disney, since he was a little kid, loved Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
He did. He actually saw a play of it when he was about 15, and then he had always wanted to tell that story.
Yeah, and I find it hilarious. Partly because of how dark it is and what we had kind of end up in the movie, the animated movie, which is dark.
It is a dark movie. It's a darker movie than you'd expect.
Yeah. Some terrifying moments that I wasn't expecting in that movie.
Yeah. Like, they've really dialed things back.
Yeah.
As you hit, like, the 90s and the 2000s. Because with Snow White, and even with Sleeping Beauty.
Yeah.
It gets really dark, and they say things that you would never expect.
And that's why it's interesting, because, you go to the Grimm's story, what we were just talking about. It's their collection was a lot of dark stories. Nothing in there was rainbows and stuff. So, I mean, like I said, the original story, it's not, like I said, it's a good story, It's not bad or anything like that.
Exactly. I always found Snow White to be a very interesting story. Mainly because it was for children, it starred a child, and it was just that crazily dark.
You talking about the book or the movie?
The book.
Okay.
Snow White, the movie...
Well, back then, what was for kids was a lot different than,
Yeah, and I kind of wish that was different. I mean, honestly, I don't have kids, but I don't know. We had kids growing up on, like I said, Snow White and Cinderella and Sleeping Beauty. Maleficent was talking about all the powers of hell.
Yeah.
That's insanity. Like, that's crazy to me.
Yeah.
it didn't destroy anybody. It didn't destroy kids' childhoods.
No, it didn't.
You had the evil queen in Snow White. Bring me her heart in this.
Yeah.
That's insane. Because what you got to realize is, and you got to remember, in the original story, Snow White is 6.
She's 6.
6. Yeah. She's a young.
Yeah, I would say so.
So that just gives you a little bit of perspective
Well,
of how crazy.
Did it say she was 6 in the book? Or is this more like background info? Because I didn't get that she was 6 from the book.
It is background information. It is
and that makes that story even more dark.
I know. So if you think about it from that, you're like, oh, wow. But even Disney's version, he aged her up a lot.
Yeah.
Because that is a woman. I defy you to tell me anything different. Snow White in that movie is a woman.
Well, how old were they saying she was?
She's supposed to be 14. But even at that, I say nay. Because you see her standing next to the huntsman, and unless you have a very, very, very short person being the huntsman, that's not what a 14-year-old looks like. Even a big 14-year-old doesn't look like that. Also, compare her against the dwarves. She's bending at the waist and dropping her head to kiss Dopey on the head.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Pretty tall.
That's a lot.
I don't know.
Like, that's very tall. You'd have to think that she's at least 18 or something.
Yeah.
Coming towards the age
That's
where
what
she's
I was
stop
thinking
growing.
she was.
Right. So because she is, I think we can all agree, a woman, and even if you say, no, she's 14, that's what he wanted, that's what she was. Okay, fine, 14. If she's 14, Snow White is an idiot.
Mm-hmm.
Because the dwarves leave and they tell her, look, Snow White, do not open the door for anybody. Anybody. Do not talk to them.
Mm-hmm.
She goes, okay. They walk off screen, and the Wicked Queen comes out, knocks on the door. She's like, I'm going to open the door now.
Well,
it's moments after.
But you got to understand, I think that's the whole point of the stories.
You're
know?
right. But it's more forgiving, and you can understand it more when she's 6.
Yeah. Yeah. Now it makes a little more sense with that, yeah.
But a 14-year-old, like, you grew up with brothers, you know? I'm sure you're like, my brothers are idiots. But when Timmy was 14, he knew, hey, don't open the door for somebody. Yeah. Okay. You know?
Yeah, period.
Like, how vapid they make Snow White in this movie.
Well, in the movie, it's only the one test.
Sure.
And I think Doc says, be careful, she's like a magician, or has the magic arts. That's what Doc tells her in the movie. Right. He's like, so just be careful because she has tricks. He doesn't say don't open the door for anyone. I'm pretty sure he didn't say that. I think he was saying more, because I was with you. I was listening to it to see if it was going to be similar like that. Because in the 7 dwarves were like, do not open the door.
In the original story.
Right, in the original story. This seemed more like, okay, like, you know, be careful because she's a trickster.
Right.
You know, and she's going to be coming after you. So be careful sort of situation.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Now, she's an idiot for eating an apple from a lady who looks like the devil. Yeah, yes, for sure. And who's obsessed with eating that apple. Telling her to eat that apple. Like, take a bite. I'm like, lady?
I don't think I'm going to
better sit down.
And see, I really like the Evil Queen in both of them. I thought the Queen in the book, a little more crazy, because like I said, she's 6. But in the movie, man, they did such a good job with like the facial animation and everything, just showing she is evil. She is a bad woman.
Yeah.
Just constantly looked upset.
Yeah. In the book, I would say it's different from me with Snow White. Like you said, Snow White is a dummy in the movie. I think the Queen is a dummy in the book. She goes to Snow White 3 different times to murder her and can't pull it off. Like, it's frustrating.
But you know what's crazy?
What is that?
That both the book Evil Queen and the movie Evil Queen, their final plan was not to kill Snow White, but make it look like she was dead and then have the dwarves bury her alive.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy.
It is. It's absolutely nuts. I mean, it would be unfathomable to be a queen and just tell your knights to go kill this girl.
Yes. And then not only
How
that,
simple would that be?
Yeah.
Hey, guys, there's a little cottage, just 7 dwarves in there, murder them, light the house on fire. She comes running out. Use your crossbows.
Speaking to how vapid Snow White is in the movie, she does fall asleep with a pot on the fire.
Just cautionary tale after cautionary tale.
It's a wooden house, Chris. Come on. And if you're 14...
Catch fire, you're dead.
You know. If you're 14, you know... Hey,
well, let's just go back just a little bit further and just the idea of a little girl going into a stranger's house.
Yeah.
You know, and then with, you know, Snow White in the movie, it's breaking and entering. But she just breaks in and then she does the worst thing. She just goes about cleaning the place. The dwarves didn't want that.
They really didn't. They were so sad.
They were pissed.
Like, sugar's gone. It's like, oh, little guy.
Yeah.
I'll go get you more sugar.
I felt bad for him. He's just staring at his cup like, this is usually where it's about. It's usually at the bottom of here. And now it's gone.
And see, that was an interesting change that Walt Disney made as well. Because the dwarves in the original one, it says it was so clean and tidy that no one could say otherwise. The dwarves were clean freaks.
No.
And then they realized, oh, hey, someone has been here because they have messed up our house, not someone has been here because they cleaned our house.
Which kind of plays into the effect that she's 6.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's more cinematic. It's more fun. It's more interesting to do it reverse because you can have a song like Whistle While You Work.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that song. I love to see the squirrels trying to brush the dirt into the mouse hole, and they do it. They're like,
yeah,
yes,
satisfied.
I got it. It gives them a little thumbs up.
Did good. Should be like whistle while you make things dirty. That's what would have been like if it would have stuck with the.
Here's the thing.
book.
I am not a clean freak.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, in certain aspects of my life, I am absolutely filthy.
Yeah.
However, where I am not filthy is in the kitchen, and watching this movie again, it gave me anxiety. It literally stressed me out to watch the deer licking the plate to make it clean. I was like, no, bad deer.
Germs.
Oh, that would freak me out, man. If someone's like, hey, do you enjoy this food?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the plate was cleaned with deer saliva. I'd be like, oh, I need to kill you now. I'm going to break the plate and stab you with the shards because that's awful.
I think you took it a little too far there.
Maybe.
I mean, it's a Disney
I don't want that
movie.
in my mouth.
Well, it doesn't have to be in your mouth. You're watching it happen. It's going to be in their mouths.
That's true.
It's going to be in their dirty, filthy mouths.
So another thing that was kind of different was that in the movie, Snow White prays to God to protect her.
Right.
And then at the end of the movie, lightning strikes a mountain, which causes an avalanche, which causes the queen to fall to her death.
Right.
And we know that she died because the vultures just very casually just swoop down and like, well, it's time to eat now.
Yeah.
Which made me laugh.
Yeah.
Not so much in the book.
Right.
In the book, Snow White was very much the cause of the queen's death.
Oh, yeah.
Which was very inventive, I thought. Like, for a
6-year-old?
Yeah, but even from, like, an 1860s situation when the Grimm's brothers came out, hey, how should we murder the queen? Red hot iron shoes. Make her dance to death.
Right.
Really? Yeah.
Sounds awesome.
Okay. Like, that is insane.
It kind of gave me a Red Wedding kind of vibe a little bit, because
a little bit.
They were like, because, you know, and what's funny is the queen's a dummy because she went. Like, why would you go? But in any case, so, you know, she sees the prince, and the prince looks at her and he's like, you know, you're dead. I'm going to kill you for trying to kill my 6-year-old wife.
Game
you
over.
Sicko.
And they, like, fire is hot.
Yes.
Like fire.
Yes, it is.
But they stoke these iron shoes in a fire.
Mm-hmm.
So
which, to your audio, little audio drama that you did, you guys did a good job in making it sound insanely uncomfortable. Because, like, as they're sitting there unstoking it, and they're getting, and, like, you know, because you hear them walk over and set it on the floor, and I'm like, because that just sounds terrible. And the fact that she had to stick her feet in there,
that nice little,
oh God, yeah.
You know, I'm happy that worked, because
it's very uncomfortable to listen to.
Well, good. It should be.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a death. So.
Yeah.
But I was also like, I don't want to go too much with it.
Right.
But I do want to give it its due. You know? So that makes me happy.
It kind of makes you wonder if that was like something that they did back then. Because if that's the case, then jeez.
Yeah.
I mean, we've heard of horror stuff, like horrible stuff that they did during the medieval ages. Those like were a bunch of sick freaks. Yeah. But I mean, that's bad too.
Yeah, but I mean, quartering is bad. I don't think it's as bad as essentially melting your feet until you die.
Yeah.
And think about how long that took too. That had to be a while. And the way the book makes it sound, it almost made it sound like it was almost like an event at the wedding.
Yeah.
You know how you have, like, right now you have the father-daughter dance, the cutting of the cake, the first dance of the bride and groom, the godless queen's death dance.
The burning dance.
I'm just really happy I don't live in medieval times. I enjoy the medieval fair a lot. I almost went this weekend.
A lot of stuff is romanticized.
Exactly.
So just real quick. So she gives Snow White the poison apple, right?
Mm-hmm.
She falls asleep.
Mm.
She gets put in a glass casket.
Mm-hmm.
In the book, or in the movie, they establish that the prince and her meet in the beginning of the movie. So there's a small connection. As small as it is, it's still like, okay, they've met before.
Right.
And he found her attractive because she was singing, and he was like,
yeah,
oh, that's my chick. This book is like a prince was walking through the woods, saw this 6-year-old girl in a casket, was like,
I'll have that.
Yeah. Hooks her up to, he doesn't kiss her.
No.
He doesn't kiss her and wake her up.
And I'm happy you brought that up, because that is a massive difference, obviously, between the book and the movie. There is no true love's kiss. There is no kiss, period. It's just, I want that.
Yeah. And it's just,
and then
I had to listen to it a third time, your audio drama a third time.
Yeah.
First time, kind of just, enjoying it. Second time, more or less of a review. And then it was like halfway through it, I'm like, or no, towards the end of it, I'm like, wait a minute. Did he just go up and take her? So I listened to it again. I'm like, he just jacked her. Just like picked her up.
Well, I mean, to be fair, he did ask the dwarves. He's like, well, then please give her to me. And then the dwarves said, okay, you can have her.
Yeah, because that's better.
But still.
What?
But
there's
still,
no defending
it's not
this.
good.
No, he just like picks her up, throws her in the back of his cart. It's like, I'll take this.
Yeah. And what was interesting is they had kind of set it up earlier in the story because, like we said, the queen went to Snow White 3 different times.
Mm-hmm.
She went and tried to suffocate her with some lace. Then she hit her with a poison comb. So the dwarves said, cut the lace. She came back. Take the comb out. She came back. But then with the apple, they couldn't figure it out. Like, they tried washing her. They tried cutting all the lace, everything. They couldn't figure out.
Well, that was the difference between, also a difference between the movie and the book.
Exactly.
It was poisoned in the movie. In the book, it got lodged in her throat.
Well, no, it was a poisoned apple.
Okay, well, that was its effect then. But it got lodged.
Right. As long as it stayed in her mouth or like in her system, essentially, she was going to continue to be.
It must have just
out.
been like in her throat and her mouth, because it says when the prince in the book,
he slipped and then it popped out of her mouth and she came to.
Had a bump in the road, and the 6-year-old woke up and he was like, oh, even better.
Exactly.
She's alive now.
And Snow White went along with it. She's like, yeah, I love you too.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're
cool.
a handsome dude. Such a dark story.
It is. And I got to tell you, I'm really excited to do the rest of them. Because like they're not all going to be that dark.
Yeah.
But there's going to be some that are just going to be bananas.
But I think you don't read Grimm's fairy tales without thinking that they're going to be dark. I mean, these are old stories gathered from across Europe for a long time, you know? So, I mean, we're talking about hundreds of years of mythology and stories being passed on from family to family.
Exactly.
It's going to be dark. You're going to have a 6-year-old walking off with a prince because, I mean, that's the way things were back then.
Well, just like give you a little bit of background. The term serial killer is a fairly new term, right? People couldn't conceive that there was a person who could do such horrible, horrible things. They wouldn't accept it. They said, no, a person did not do this. Clearly, a monster did it. A beast did it. That's where you get stuff like trolls. More precisely, though, that's where you get werewolves from. Because you would have these horrific scenes of people being murdered from serial killers, and like a human couldn't have done this type of damage. It had to have been a beast. And then you get werewolves. And that's why some of these are just crazy dark, because you realize, oh, that is about a man, actually. And you're like, oh, wow.
Yeah. No, the moral, they and the cool thing is they all have like a sense of morality to them. It's dark as it is. A lot of it is just like, hey, kid, be careful.
Don't trust strangers.
Yeah, don't open the door.
Exactly. Maybe, you know how your parents told you don't take candy from strangers? Snow White. If Snow White learned that lesson, she would have never needed that coffin.
So I'm looking forward to the rest of the stuff that you got coming up. What's the next thing that you're going to be touching on?
Well, the next one is going to be The Frog Prince. But Grimm's Story Nights doesn't actually debut until November 15th. That's going to be a Digifox exclusive. So if you're interested in it and you want to listen to all of the episodes, you'd have to go to foxplaybox.com.
Yeah.
And I say it like that because if there is a story that connects to Disney somehow, I plan on doing what I did with Snow White, where the first week we're going to play the audio drama from Grimm Story Nights. And then the following week, you and I will have a discussion like this one, where we talk about the differences between the two mediums. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So Frog Prince, you'd be like, oh, well, okay, so of course you're going to put that one on the Disney show because that's clearly where you get the Princess and the Frog. Very much divorced.
Yeah.
I mean, the concept is the same, but aside from that, they are two very different stories. So the Frog Prince won't actually be on the Disney show.
Okay.
We're planning on doing 10 episodes a season, and every season we're going to do at least one famous show, if you will.
Okay.
Like this season, it's Snow White. Now, we're also going to be doing Rumpelstiltskin and stuff like that, but that story is nowhere near as popular as Snow White.
Yeah. Well, Grimm has a lot of good fairy tales that aren't just Disney-related properties and stuff like that. So
exactly, and that's why we wanted to do them, because they're interesting stories. And I think that I think fairy tales kind of get a bad rap, because the first thing you think of when you think of fairy tales is Disney.
Yeah,
Disney has his own
retelling,
almost genre of movie. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He changes a lot, like we discussed. So you're not getting the full story. You're not getting the original story. And I think the original stories are interesting.
Yeah, and I think there's an audience for it, man.
I hope so. So if you're interested, like I said, go over to foxplaybox.com. Check them out on November 15th. And that's the end. For this week, anyway. Wanted to say thank you all for listening. Greatly appreciate it. You can find us on iTunes, YouTube, Tumblr, Twitter, and SoundCloud. You can also find us on DigiFox Studios' new network, the Fox Playbox. Just type in foxplaybox.com, and you can find all the different shows in our network. If you would be so kind as to like, favorite, and subscribe, we would greatly appreciate it. It does help us get up to the ranks so more people can find our show. And again, thank you so much for listening. And until next Saturday, this is Bryce
and Chris
saying have a good night, and may all your endings be happy. And, well, you know the rest.